Role models are important. Humans do not grow well in isolation, and having figures to look up to and aspire to is crucial to one's growth and development. Now, seeing as it was recently Father's Day in North America, and it is still currently Men's Mental Health Month, I have been thinking about role models and how most people don't typically have a good role model these days. I personally believe that having someone to look up to that inspires you and shows you things in life that you can work on and improve for yourself is rather important, especially for younger people. Someone that has characteristics that you see as desirable, that has faced similar hardships to yourself, and that has managed to achieve something great with their lives. These are the sorts of people that make for solid role models. Parents would ideally be most people's role models. However, many people these days do not have good relationships with their parents, and plenty only either have a mother or a father in their life, further restricting the potential for a good role model. And even if someone does have both parents and a decent relationship with them, not all parents make for good role models. So the question then becomes, if there is a lacking in terms of parental role models, where should one look for a role model instead? Well, many people might look online in the modern day, as local communities are largely a thing of the past, and there are many options online, more than there has ever been in terms of content and creators of said content. While it might seem like a good idea to look online, I think there are many issues with this approach to finding a role model. Most large and well known content creators are largely detached from the average person in terms of life experiences, alongside also only showing the sides of them that they want a viewer to see. Thinking of such people as your main role model is full of problems, it's incredibly parasocial, and most of these content creators should only be used to inspire people in their own niche ways. A few examples of these potential so called role models for modern men that have many flaws would be Jordan Peterson, Elon Musk, the Tate brothers, the streamer Hassan, or the streamer Destiny. Now, some on that list are clearly much more flawed than others, and some are clearly more disconnected than others, but none really fit as an ideal role model for most people, in my opinion. Jordan Peterson is a smart man. I wouldn't doubt his psychological comments and his views on psychology, but for anything outside of his field of expertise, he has major flaws.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
His views outside of psychology tend to be extreme and not particularly refined from what I've seen. I've often found that most of what Peterson says that could be useful is largely just common sense things that people should already know. An example of this is in his 12 Rules for Life book, which I'm sure it goes into more details on each rule, but all of them are basic common sense. Everyone should know to clean their room. It's not mind blowing to hear that. Next, taking a look at Elon Musk, he is clearly the most disconnected from the average person in terms of the people on this list. And while his businesses can be quite inspirational for the innovations that they have been pushing in the recent years, the credit should largely go to the people that he is paying, in my opinion. That said, he can also be seen as inspirational for any wannabe entrepreneur, even though he came from generational wealth and he also makes rather questionable decisions a lot of the time, like smoking weed on Joe Rogan's podcast or buying Twitter for a meme price.
I think I tried one once.
Come on, man. You want some of that? You probably can't because stockholders, right?
I mean, it's legal, right?
It's totally legal.
Okay.
How does that work? Do people get upset at you if you do certain things? There's tobacco and marijuana in there. That's all it is. The combination of tobacco and marijuana is wonderful.
Elon Musk certainly isn't a role model when it comes to work-life balance either, as the man can't hold a family life at all and is entirely consumed by his work. Perhaps he is suitable as a role model to some extent for hustle and grind types of people, but he is not well-rounded enough to be a true role model. The Tate brothers are easily the most laughable on this list. I don't know how two alleged sex traffickers managed to position themselves as role models for the average man. And these two are the only two on this list that try to promote themselves as role models to young men. And while these two might be somewhat inspirational for their fitness achievements, given that Andrew Tate was actually a world-class kickboxer at one point, outside of that, they have very little to offer. These two used cam girls to make their money and now decry the state of modern society and claim to have converted to Islam, even though their entire existence goes against almost all views of that religion. They seem like walking contradictions to me, claiming to want to uplift the common man while both peddling an online self-help course called Hustlers University that effectively just worked as a content machine for them, and by abusing the finances of lonely, desperate men with the cam girl business. Sure, it's most people's goal to be rich, but self-help gurus tend to promote paths to riches that the average person will never be able to take, and while promoting this unreachable path, they profit off of their supporters.
You didn't like that I was thinking I can do whatever I want to. That's what it is. I'm the smartest person on this planet. Am I a bad person? Because the more you didn't like it, the more I enjoyed it. I f***ing loved how much you hated it. Turned me on.
The streamer Hasan is someone you'd expect to be a little less disconnected from the realities of the common person, given that he's only achieved his success relatively recently. But being a streamer leads to a great disconnect from the average life. I find it personally quite surprising that he has achieved the success that he has, as the few times I've seen his streams, he is typically giving uneducated takes on random topics, or he's often not even there, just leaving someone else's content playing in the background. Perhaps people could find his sheer laziness as something of an inspiration to be that rich while not even working that hard to create unique content during his long streams. I also find it quite ironic that he has seen such success, given that he has such supposedly strong anti-capitalist views which he never seems to act on, as despite his socialist beliefs, he currently resides in a $3 million mansion. My best guess for his success is that he is a conventionally attractive guy with left-leaning views, and that seems to be an instant selling point for most young people.
And so here we are. I'm living up to what I said about conservatives and progressives. We're having a conversation. So you said America deserved 9/11. Did you mean that?
Yeah.
The streamer Destiny is a similar case to Hasan, given that he also inhabits the streamer parts of the online world, and more specifically the political side of streaming. He typically gives well-reasoned takes when it comes to politics, and that is often his focus. However, he often ends up involved in drama, and while drama can be entertaining, I think it is a poor use of time, especially as he often can be having much more interesting conversations when he's not involved in drama. I do, however, commend his commitment to creating entertaining content for his audience, but I personally don't know how he puts up with the crazy people that he does put up with. This is part of why I can't see him as a true role model, as I myself would not want to constantly deal with such problematic people, and his rather open relationship style that is quite public is certainly not in line with my own views, and it's certainly not ideal for most people either, but he is self-aware enough to acknowledge that frequently.
You interrupt me and I act completely exasperated because I'm not saying what you want me to say. You want to frame the conversation in a way that I am not interested in framing the conversation. Like, the way that I want to talk about this is not how you want to talk about it, and you can't accept that. The way that I'm looking at this is not the way that you're looking at it, but you don't really want to hear how I'm looking at it. You want to have the conversation you want to have, so there's not really any point to this. You don't want to learn anything you don't want to hear. You just are annoyed that I'm saying something that you don't want me to say.
Can you explain
so
my?
This is
Can
totally
you wait?
unproductive.
Can you explain?
This is just about
Can
you, like,
explain
showing off to your
my?
audience
I'm
about
not
what a
showing
dick
off
you can be to
anybody. I'm just
somebody.
trying to have a conversation. I don't know why you're even against sex work. That's what I'm trying to figure out
Well,
right now.
I appreciate the big show that you're having, but I don't want to continue this.
Holy
if you're just gonna
shit.
keep interrupting me. Oh God, you're
Okay.
so dramatic.
Well,
Adios. Thanks for having me.
okay. I don't know what I expected.
However, this is all again only parts that are made visible to a viewer. Now, having mentioned all these men, I would say that there is something to be gained from each of them, lessons to be learned, even if it is simply learning what not to be. I would not suggest anyone to pick out any specific online figure as their sole role model. The best attributes of each person should be selected for, used as inspiration to improve yourself, or, for some, the worst attributes can be chosen, used as a direct model for what you do not want yourself to become in the future. With that said, I still believe that the best role models are to be found in your own personal life experiences. A father or mother figure in your life, or a coach, someone that helps you become the best version of yourself. While it is not crucial in order to be a constantly growing and improving person, I strongly believe that having role models helps to give some focus, and it helps lead you on a path that you desire to take. The reason the best role models are people that you personally know in your own life comes down to several different factors. It is much easier to relate to someone that you know personally rather than some historical figure or some celebrity. It is far easier to see what things they struggle with and how they actually overcome their struggles, while also keeping such struggles relatable to your own life. You will be able to see their flaws and the ways in which they address and overcome their flaws. A good role model will always combat their flaws. They wouldn't be a good role model if they didn't. An online figure will always be showing only half of what they truly are. They only show what they want viewers to see, and this allows them to hide most of their own flaws. So again, it is important to only take inspiration and lessons from such figures, rather than having them be your primary role model. Role models are important throughout life, not only as a child, but even as an adult. They remain useful as a way to learn how to make yourself a more well-rounded person. For this reason, I think everyone should have at least a few people they look up to, attributes they aspire to have, and growth they wish to make at all points in life. So if you don't currently have anyone that you see as a role model, or even as a partial role model, you should take a moment to think, to pick someone in your life, online or from history, to learn from and to grow from. Quick shout out to my parents for being the best role models that anyone could ever ask for, always giving me something to look up to and to aspire to. And like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to subscribe. I don't know at this point.